Speed chess. Does Donald Trump think that he's playing speed chess? Forget whether it's multi-dimensional chess or whatever, or whether it's checkers, right? Speed chess. Like there's several movies that really involve that kind of high velocity Bobby Fischer type. I don't know. Finding Bobby Fischer, was that a Hollywood movie about a chess whiz kid? Okay. The president says that he's now also the president of Venezuela. He's the acting president of Venezuela, or the effective president of Venezuela, or something. He's making very provocative, aggressive comments about Cuba. What else? Oh, Iran. He told Iran, the people, that we're sending help soon. To the Iranian revolution. They're in the process of getting rid of the Khamenei clerical Shia operation, and getting up to speed with some kind of secular open democracy. So what's he mean that he's going to send help for what? He's going to send help to the government to keep the people in line? Or he wants... So what is his diplomacy? He's going to preach domestic... I'm just trying to wrap my head around the sort of, I guess, from the perspective of somebody raised in a open democratic society, to see a leader behave in such an openly, brazenly hypocritical way is just jarring. And the mind tends to want to do all this kind of body English and get things back into the right categories. And you tend always to need to understand things from the categories that you're comfortable with, of course. And this Trump, he just completely annihilates categories. It's very difficult, it seems, also, for me anyway, to really get much of a sense of what he's really trying to do. I mean, the window into his soul, there are windows into his soul. For example, the moment he's made some comment about children being killed in war, and he took a moment, I think it was related to Putin, he just kind of shook his head and he says, yeah, I I didn't like seeing that with the children. Well, that was a kind of nanosecond of humanity. Let's see, what other nanoseconds of humanity does he have? Actually, there was, the dance party stuff. Yeah, big time. Fuck yeah. That's like heart and soul. He's like a gay disco diva in his heart of hearts. Look at all the glitzy stuff. He's in this big geopolitical meeting earlier yesterday or whatever, and they're tearing down the ballroom, and then he starts digressing about, opening parentheses about the ballroom, and then the ballroom. Hold on, everybody. And he gets up and he just walks over to the window and just kind of gazes out at the construction of the ballroom. Okay, so that's his system of values, whatever the ultimate meaning is. It's aesthetic, it's glitzy, it's aesthetic, it's grandiose, but it's got a kind of, it's hard to see the grandiosity. It's hard to read the true essence of the grandiosity, right? Because it's certainly in other people like Putin, for example. You hear all these really gnarly stories about, what it was, Navalny bludgeoned to death with a hammer. You hear, Novichok stories and other Navalny stories or whatever. You hear stories, it just seems to go with the territory with totalitarianistic, authoritarian strongmen that you see the sort of the pure, kind of cruel, sadistic side at some point. And I'm trying to think, what real examples do we have from Trump of, say, cruelty at the level of the body, at the level of blood and physical injury, cruelty, physical cruelty. If I'm making, and there's probably some glaring mistakes, obviously he must have there must be some kind of well-known dimension of him being, truly verifiably sinister person, right? Like in a Jeffrey Epstein sort of way, or not. So speed chess, it's like Bannon's theory of the flood the zone with bullshit plus velocity. I guess they have that one too. Muzzle velocity, flood the zone with bullshit at muzzle velocity, point blank range. Relentlessly. Now it's Cuba. Now it's Venezuela. Now it's Minnesota, Minneapolis. Right? Now it's Portland. You inside, outside distinction, inside at domestic, foreign. Where he's boosting the people of Iran for their historic struggle for freedom, right? And he's sending ICE into Minneapolis to shoot more Americans in the face. Right? Don't resolve the contradiction. That's not the point. The contradiction is the truth. These are the leading indicators of Trump is the contradictions. And it's high velocity, high count. you know, high, quantity, high quantity events of high velocity events, differentiated events, and logically inconsistent. It teeters almost on the edge of Finnegan's Wake or something at this point. I mean, it's just beyond bonkers. Just the velocity, just the breakneck. Yeah, I mean, and what is he, 80 years old? I mean, you can't, look, to game theoretically keep all that straight, it's impossible. If you were in his shoes, let's imagine, let's speculate. Based on, we just take everything that Trump has gotten himself into since he took office almost exactly 1 year ago. Everything that he's gotten himself into right now that puts him sitting in the seat right now that he sits in. He sits in the seat, and history, all the genealogy, the historical trace, the past, there's a non-linear curve running from his first inauguration, 2016, until 2026, 10 years, non-linear curve. The incline increases somehow the rate of ascent, the rate of gain. What's being gained? Very hard to tell. Well, something definitely is being displaced and shaken up and shifted around. But he does betray, just simply based on the multiplicity, like the magnitude of the quantity, the multiplicity of the things, the events, the to-do items that he has to keep track of now, right? I mean, nobody can keep track of it. We talk all day, talking heads, just to remember all the things now, because you have Venezuela situation, related Cuba situation. He says he's going to get the military involved on the ground in Mexico in order to fight Mexican drug cartels. That's a fairly recent one. Let's see, what else? I mean, it's like he's checking off the list. He's get up, get into it, get involved. He's like the James Brown. He's like seriously, he's the real funk, band leader. He's going through the whole list of countries. What are there, 200 countries? The British, he likes the British, I guess. He thinks that our tax arrangement with the British now is going to make it so that British and Americans are one big happy economic trading zone. It's all right. British goods are high quality shit. I've got a Soundcraft board right there. Sounds unbelievable. You can't distort the channel. You just keep turning it up. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Gaza, Israel, Russia. China, we're relatively quiet about China now. And that is of course not reassuring at all, because I suppose if I were Xi Jinping, I would have already gone to occupy Taiwan. I would have been locked and loaded, ready to do it on a hair trigger as soon as any little thing happens in the world now, volatile. Iran. He's going to send troops to Iran, or whatever. That help is on the way, he said, in the abstract, to the Iranian people, or whoever he told, I don't know. It's almost like there's the aggression, like there's no, in Trump's psychic economy, what kind of an archive is there? Is there a library? Is there an archive? Does he, I mean, sometimes he'll tell stories, right? But it almost sounds like he's making them up on the spot. Like he'll come up with these anecdotes and they just sound completely made up, and he'll like make up these numbers like, oh yeah, the Malia and Sasha Obama went to Peru, so he's going to come up with a story about how it was really dangerous, and their tour guide got eaten by a snake or killed by a snake, and that there are 28,000 viper deaths a year in Peru, and in fact there's like one or something. They fact checked that shit on, I don't know, one of the talking heads, but yeah, I mean, what's he really working with under the hood there? You know, I mean, I don't expect to see anything other than he's already externalized, which is roughly a kind of limited absurdist scheme where any number of contradictions are perfectly admissible. And then, you know, so it's 90% Wille zur Macht and 10% whatever the other thing I said was. What's in his head? What's in your head? In your head, zombie. Sorry. So there's like no game theoretic archive. There's no library of models that he's pulling from. Like he's got a few kind of like parable type stories that he half makes up, and he may even make up the moral content of the stories itself to suit or confuse the situation. He's probably done that. Oh yeah, the other thing that really needs to be said, and then I'll stop this one, is the thing about Iran turning off the internet. I mean, I was thinking on January 6th, 5 years ago, I was thinking, Jesus, if he really had this in mind all along, you know, why didn't he? So what you do is you get inaugurated, and then you go find whoever has the skeleton key or the master key to the internet. You say, you give me the key to the internet, so I have the only key, and I can turn the internet off and on at will. I mean, it looks literally like the Iranian government has done that now. They're like, oh, no, click. Now you get no internet, no communication at all. So that's disconcerting. The idea that the government can just go, oh, hey, click, no more communication. That starts looking like a Hollywood apocalypse movie, right, real quick, doesn't it? I shouldn't talk like that, but on the other hand, could it be that precisely our unwillingness to theorize these hard questions leads us closer and closer to exactly the direction that we do not want to go in? Now, we need to scrutinize the hard questions, and we need to get real comfortable with them. We need to narrow down what are the problems? What are the real problems in our society? Are there religious problems? Are they sexual problems? Are they criminal problems? Legal problems? What are our problems? And it could very well start between me and you, or I and I. I guess Jah Rastafari, they say that. Because if under the occasionalism of Jah Rastafari, the occasionalism such that, everything is just an occasion of God, is roughly Spinozist, very, very, very immanentist, IMMANENTM, immanent, remain within. Not transcending, remaining within. Occasionalists like Bergson and the Rastafarian tradition and of occasionalism. Gottfried Plouquet, also an occasionalist. And if you notice, monadology, that's Leibniz, that kind of looks like an occasionalist way of describing things, does it not? So, interpersonal dialogue, and I know plenty of us go real deep, certainly with therapy, and I would imagine that intimate relationships yield intimate conversations. Start there. It has to start there. Individuals have to find ways, I guess, to keep affect and passions in check, and at the same time make sufficiently transparent and systematic the actual fabric, the material of thought, the linguistic utterances, the sentences themselves. We have to be very close to the sentences. If you have a problem with me, you have to be able to write down sentences that explain. We're both held to the same standards. Because on serious matters of disagreement, where we come to a point where, let's say we're both related, and then we're so angry at each other, and then we somehow try to brute force the idea that we're just going to agree to disagree, and then we're just going to grin and bear it and pretend that it's not there. I guess that can cook for a number of decades, maybe over a course of a few generations. But the thing is that hard truths that sit and simmer are still simmering. And I won't push the metaphor, but look, I mean, just think of it like as a physicist. Where's the energy coming from? Where does it go? What's it cost? What's it cost you to live? What's it cost you to live a particular way? The more of a facade we have to maintain, and the more various facades that we maintain, there becomes a lot, first of all, that you have to keep straight in your mind, what your story is and which information belongs where. You know, if you have to cultivate and keep in working order certain facades in order to just by necessity communicate with, say, family, for example. You know, like take my family, my Greek family. It's like, you know, Greeks, they literally have a particular, it's not even a system of values. It's like it's a Weltanschauung. It's a mode of appearing. It's like the very nature of the world itself is thus and so. And categories that don't fit in that, for example, like, you know, post-gender conceptual analysis, right? I mean, there's something about foreign and novel foreign stuff that seems very jarring to Greeks. Greeks really, I mean, contemporary modern Greeks that I've met. But I mean, I think about the way that a facade functions. You know, I mean, you try to make a particular kind of pose. You try to, you know, project a certain kind of an image based on however much reality, but nobody knows because it's a facade and it's merely the appearance. Now, if the crucial part of this is that the subject themselves believes that they must maintain this facade and that it is in fact a facade, that would create, I know from experience, it creates difficulties. You know, I mean, you know, this is one of the reasons why I've had to kind of incorporate, like why I say, oh, I'm a Byzantine Christian. You want to know why? because as a cost benefit, it costs me almost nothing in terms of ontological commitments to think essentially in a way that's indistinguishable from any other good Christian. It costs me much less thermodynamically, physically, to just adopt that into my identity for real than it is to maintain, for example, a position of structural atheist, right, vis-a-vis contra my Greek family, right? That takes a lot of energy, and I've done that a lot in the past. But hey, since all of a sudden we have Badiou and Zizek, voila. You know what we have? Christian atheism. What? Yeah. The mind, I mean, they say life finds a way. The mind finds a way. The monstrosity of Christ. Christian atheism. Slavoj Žižek. Yeah. So, yay. I get to be a Christian after all. How much did that cost me? Just a little bit more intellectual effort, that's all. Not years and years of maintaining some false division that I don't even believe in anyway. Right? I mean, the division, if you feel rebellious against your family, is just because they're stupid. It's not because anything inherent to their views. I mean, their views, in the mouth of somebody who's charismatic, you might think, oh yeah, well, they're okay. No, it's just my family is fucking square and they don't listen, right? I mean, isn't that the story? Isn't that really the story? Your family is fucking square and they don't listen, right?